I upload the intro without the audio. But we are Bears on Tap. I am Quentin Crisco, joined by Ron Luce. We are here to talk about the Chicago Bears offensive line. It's what we do. We love the trenches. We love the big guys up front. And Ron, if you had one sentence to describe the last game for this offensive line, where would you go with it?
I don't even need a sentence. I just need a sound. It's kind of where I would go with it after looking through a lot of the tape that you provided us here today.
That's fair. And I mean, I think I'm right there with you. But anyone new to the show, we do this every week after every game. We're going to be going through the all-22 tape here. You see it's moving up there on your screen. And we're going to break down what happened on plays with the offensive line, what we're seeing. Ron himself here played some college offensive line, and he has a very good understanding of technique and stuff that I'm probably not as well versed in. So, and I watch every Bears all-22 5 times through to grade every offensive lineman specifically. You can find the articles about it over at ontapsportsnet.com. But with that being said, let's get into it. And we can see on each of these plays, we'll have a little note at the start of it, just to remind ourselves what we're looking at here. And this is the WTF screen.
Well described, Q.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe I've just never noticed it like this before because it didn't seem as poorly executed. But I don't know if I've ever seen a screen design like this where all 3 interior guys are running out, especially Matt Pryor running towards seemingly nobody, like just towards grass, and the offensive tackles are left behind to try to keep the quarterback clean to get it out. Now, I did include the sideline angle on this so we kind of see why Caleb might not have thrown this, but like, what's going on here, Ron? What do you see?
I think the biggest thing initially is if you are going to, especially in this instance, where it's not a quick hitting screen by any means. It needs to take a second to develop. Teven Jenkins needs to get his defensive tackle on the ground, or at least to stumble. Like, he barely stumbles. He almost swats him into Caleb, if we're being brutally honest. What you're taught is on a screenplay, that's exactly how you're taught. Smack him in the middle of the back, but you want to smack him in the middle of the back to take him and his momentum into the ground, because that's going to give your quarterback an extra second and a half till he gets back to his feet. In this instance, he doesn't get him to the ground. If anything, he gives him a cleaner shot at Caleb Williams. And when this play doesn't develop right away, it's kind of a sham. Same thing happens with Pryor on the other side. It's a little less noticeable just because it looks like they're almost trying to run a stunt a little bit on the backside, and it just doesn't quite materialize in time. But I if anything, in this instance, I would keep Pryor in, and then I'm telling Jenkins, you have to get him on the ground. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, this play's going nowhere, and that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, and so I just do want to point out that is Johnny Newton, and one of the biggest strengths in his draft profile over at ontapsportsnet.com was his contact balance and his ability to keep his feet, which we see on display here. But let's take a look at this from the sideline view to get another perspective of what was going on here with the screen. Why, so we've got DJ Moore right here. We got Swift right here motioning out. Swift is going to run like a smoke or like a get out. And then DJ is actually going to follow him out there. So up to about here. So you're going to have about 10 yards of distance between the two. It's like, I'm not sure if it's Swift is a lead blocker here, if he's supposed to clear it out. This design had me very confused in general. And it's something, I think they tried this twice in this game, actually. This play, and it didn't get home either time. The second time, I think Caleb just ate it without a guy in his face of it's not there, even though it seemingly was there. So I'm not sure what they're looking for here.
I think the reason, Q, that it's ultimately not there is because that rush end identifies the play almost too quickly. So you'll see it a little bit, and I encourage everybody to watch Braxton on this play, because as this play develops, the end is coming upfield. If he engages with Braxton, Caleb can kind of just do a little kind of oop pass over his head and get there. The D end immediately recognizes it and starts to retreat. That becomes a much harder throw, especially with Johnny Newton already in your face by the time it gets there. Again, Jenkins not getting him on the ground is problem number one. Problem number two is the DN sees it and immediately follows more out there. Unfortunately, I think for Caleb, if Newton doesn't come as quickly, that ball's already out before the DN recognizes it. The problem is he gets an extra half second because Caleb hesitates because he doesn't expect Johnny Newton to be in his face right away. So,
yeah,
again, just goes to show.
right here. He's cocked. He's hitched. He's ready to go.
Absolutely. And he's probably getting out there. He's probably leading it right behind DeAndre. And I guarantee it's exactly what's happening because you watch the receivers. Rome is coming in to get the near side linebacker. Your other, I'm assuming that's Keenan. I can't quite tell from this angle, but he's got the one corner. DeAndre is kind of leading to that outside corner. And then Teven's your safety guy downfield. In theory, if you get the D tackle on the ground, this play can absolutely work. D tackle doesn't get on the ground. Caleb has nowhere to go with the football. To me, this is one of those plays that they dial up early and quickly to try and get a big chunk play. And I think it was almost there. I don't think it was that far off, but it's just execution. Teven has to get Newton on the ground or this play doesn't work, and that's exactly what happened.
I still don't know what Matt Pryor's supposed to be doing here, but
I'm convinced Matt Pryor doesn't know what he's doing 99% of the time, but that's okay.
All right. So this was another WTF screen.
There's a lot of these in this game.
And this one, I mean, over the last 2 years of doing this, or year and a half of doing this, I have grown a massive dislike for run action that pulls a guard the opposite way of the play. It just feels like too much smoke and mirrors, not enough action to me. Which there might be optionality in this, which does make it better. But like, Tev is actually blocking his own guy here. Kind of. Like, I don't think purposely. I think just he's playing on a bad leg and probably missed his spot. But I don't know. I mean, you got Coleman Shelton coming out, and maybe this is all an option run now that I'm seeing it again, because Coleman Shelton trying to cut off the linebacker somewhere up there, Tev pulling out. I'm not. What confused me here was Coleman Shelton.
Yeah, I don't entirely know what's going on here. And maybe again, to your point, Q, you and I talked about this in the Bears preview show. Huge shameless plug. Encourage everybody to go check it out at ontapsports.com, on Tap Sports at YouTube page, and wherever you listen to your podcast. But we kind of talked about how like the complexities of the offense and what they're running in the Waldron scheme. I wonder if this is just a miscommunication play, because that's really what it feels like here. To me, this maybe should. I think what the issue is here, and this is going to sound really stupid, but this is just my understanding of it from what I'm seeing. I wonder if this is supposed to be a give because the D end retreats. And by the time Caleb sees that D end has retreated, he's like, shit, the RPO throw is not there. And he just doesn't know what to do. This might have just been one of those Dan Quinn wins situations. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they dialed something up that looks weird and kind of what it feels like.
If this is a give, this starts to make a lot more sense of Shelton up for a cutoff block, blocking down, trying to block down, but like Pryor lets Newton get upfield here, but it's away from where the run's going. Mm-hmm. So that starts to make a lot more sense if that's what we're talking about. But I mean, because one of my critiques on this was, if it's not, you're really asking Matt Pryor to cover a gap and a half to get across to here. You think Matt Pryor can do that? Like that was one of my critiques in this, of like, Matt Pryor should not be asked to cover a gap and a half.
Most linemen shouldn't be. If Trent Williams or one of the elites on your roster, most offensive linemen shouldn't be asked a gap and a half. One gap is fine. Gap and a half is crazy.
But so
unless it's backside and it doesn't affect the play, and maybe you can get away with it. But
and we get the sideline view on this one too, just to give a better idea of what he was actually throwing towards. And you see that corner.
I think the corner also. I don't think DJ's. I don't think
might have baited this with playing off coverage.
I think it baited it, and he flew in. And I think, based on how this is run, I think Keenan needs to get deeper on that. And that's why he has to pump fake, because he has to wait for DJ and the DB to clear. Because it looks like that DB is going to shoot it because Keenan's not deep enough.
Mm-hmm.
And again, some of that's just okay. We get the look we want, and that DB comes flying downhill right away. It's another disguise play. I think if that
Yeah,
DB doesn't flow so hard, he's got enough space to make that throw to Keenan right from the jump, and there is no second guessing what's going on. It's just
yeah.
action, and you're just getting it out immediately.
I mean, I feel like that's a safe throw right there. Caleb might have just been a little,
I think
little
that hesitation was.
over-conservative.
I think the hesitation was is he was not expecting that DB to flow so hard.
Mhm.
And the last thing a quarterback in a Matt Eberflus-inspired team wants to do is turn the football over, as we've discussed at nauseum on Bears on Tap. And I think that's what got in his head there and why he double cleared that a little bit, because he thought maybe that DB is going to shoot under DJ and try to jump the route.
All right, so as we've stated on the show previously, we want to cover good and bad. So, we're going to cover plenty of bad in this game, but I wanted to point out some good too. This is just Darnell Wright being a beast and clearing
Being an
out
absolute
space.
monster.
Like that, he had so much more spring in his step in this game than he has all year. Here, I'm going to play this full speed and you'll see what I'm talking about of his ability to get down on this guy and then recover outside for the backer is just, it's so quick. We hadn't seen that from him all year, which I know you're not going to like his shoulders turning there and him going, full shoulder into the guy, but he gets away with it because that foot speed looked different than it did in the first part of the year. Like that right there, probably not ideal that he's that turned perpendicular to the backer, but he does it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the rhythm and the rhyme of offensive line is I'm on some cat in a hat type shit tonight, hard die. The rule of thumb is it's first level first. Like you have to secure first level. So I can forgive if you're securing first level when you turn your shoulders. He still does a great job getting squared to the backer, if we're being brutally honest. I mean, but again, this is where guys are a little different. Like, I could not humanly do that as an offensive lineman, but Darnell Wright can because he was a top 10 draft pick and he's just a freak athlete. Like, a lot of these guys can get away with that sometimes. And Darnell Wright, more than anybody, in my opinion, on this Bears offensive line, is if there is a guy that can get away with it, he's the guy. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you love seeing him clear out a D tackle, making what should be Tev's life easier, or pardon me, Pryor's life easier. But again, I don't love what Pryor's doing either. And
oh yeah,
it's a nightmare. But gotta appreciate Darnell clearing space. Because I mean, in theory, if Pryor doesn't get so overcommitted, that ball that's there. Swift's cutting off of Wright's back, his black side, and yeah, you're Swift one-on-one with Luvu, which Luvu's going to win that 10 times out of 10 probably, but you at least have a gain of 4-5 yards. I mean, that's a quality play. Not every play is going to go for a touchdown. It's just the unfortunate nature of the beast.
I don't know if Deron Payne covered the front of his jersey in Vaseline or something, but Pryor couldn't grip him all game.
Well,
he couldn't get a clean grip on him all game long, and this is one of those reps where he couldn't. Like once Wright peels off, he can't dictate direction for his life here, and he doesn't have a clear grip on him.
Yeah, I mean, but there's a reason that Deron Payne got paid all that money, right? I mean, he's one of the better D tackles in football. I'm so jealous of what the Commanders still have on that D line, even without Young and Sweat in the fold, just because of those guys on the interior. And I know Allen's been banged up. You got Newton, Deron Payne's a monster, and again, if there's any weakness on the Chicago Bears, it's interior offensive line, and you're seeing it on full display right here.
This one was just a clean run block win. I thought you got Tev getting the guy on the ground right there. You got Amegadjie out there getting 2 for 1.
Yeah, I will say this. I know we're going to talk ad nauseum about Kiran later in the show, so I don't want to go off on him too much. He's all over the place, but I will appreciate a guy who's given his effort and diving into blocks. I got to give, if I'm in that O-line room, I go, Kiran, you and I both know damn well this isn't good technically. But holy shit, do I appreciate you getting out there and throwing your body around. Because in this instance, again, you're asking him to do what a guy like Braxton Jones is very good at, which is that outside pull as a play side tackle. And Kiran, who hasn't probably done a lot of it at Yale, right? He's a guy that's physically athletic enough to get there. But man, he's just out there and appreciate a guy just throwing the body around, trying to make a block, and he gets a 2-for-1. And you also get everything else you could ask for out of this play because guys are just getting guys on the ground, and you love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, kudos to Gerald Everett for hitting his block there too.
Hell yeah.
This doesn't happen without that.
Nope. And again,
receivers,
sometimes the best block, especially as a tight end or a tackle, is just create a pile of shit because nobody's going anywhere if there's a pile of dudes on the ground. It's the same case. And again, I love Kiran here. I love his head placement. I love everything Kiran does leading up to this. His head placement's great. It's on the outside shoulder. Just the more athletic DB tries to cut inside because of how Swift runs this, and Amegadjie just throws his body at it. And it's cool and tough, man. I enjoy seeing that kind of shit.
That's what I was about to go towards. His head placement on this, his body placement, and the way he swivels around to say, I'm keeping this outside lane clear, and I'm making sure you're staying in front of me there. And then the 2-for-1 where he just takes this guy out with his legs. I'm not sure it's even actually legal, but like it was an accident.
It's legal if it's not intentional.
Yeah.
It's legal if it's not intentional. He's throwing his body at the corner. That's his intended block. The other guy just so happens to get tripped up on the way through.
I can't help but wonder if this is where he hurt his calf, but
probably because he probably got kicked right in the calf with a knee there.
Yeah.
That probably doesn't feel very good. I can promise you that.
But that was just, that was the redeeming play of the game, right? That was play where you're like, are the Bears back?
Are they going to win?
Happening? All right. So now this one, we got more designer screens.
Designer. Is this Coach or Dolce & Gabbana?
Knockoff. Dolce.
Knockoff.
Waldron and Gabbana.
Off the Waldron and Gabbana. The off-brand, the great value off-brand version.
I mean, honestly, it's probably not even a bad screen concept. Just the execution is not. I don't know. I don't think I put the sideline view in on this one, so I can't actually tell you what they're going for on the outside. But again, we have. Do we have more back there, or who is that? Keenan. Oh, he's running an orbit motion. Okay.
Yeah, Keenan comes on an orbit.
Oh yeah, this one. It was like they faked that Komet play that they did in London, but there was no Komet aspect to it. Like no Komet running up the seam.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Because honestly, if you're going to run an orbit screen like that, just get it out to Keenan as quickly as possible. I know you're trying to let blocks set up, but it's just creating more of a mess.
If you want to see a guy who has never run this type of fake live, like Braxton isn't good at these fakes, but this is watch Kiran here.
He looks like he's about to do the Thriller. When we're on the Halloween topic here, you know what I mean? He's got the hands going everywhere, and
this is a Chris Morgan thing.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Because Braxton does this all the time on these screens, and I'm just like looking at it like jazz hands, like it's
jazz hands.
I don't know what the purpose of it is, and like it has to be a Chris Morgan thing.
It has to be, and I hate it. I hate it so much. It's dumb. I get it, like, hey, flash your hands, use your hands, but like when nobody's there, like you gotta sell it at least. You gotta sell it a little bit that like you're trying to get upfield, or even give a hand to like the inside or something. Just show something, not just like, hey, ho. He looks like he's trying to do like some version of like the Macarena maybe or something.
Yeah. But so, like I said, conceptually, like on the whiteboard, this might not be bad, but I just think it's too cute.
Who's he throwing the screen to, Deron Payne or Keenan Allen? Because Deron Payne was right there ready to catch that screen if he throws it at him.
That's what I'm saying. Like the hands have to be a tell for screen, right?
1,000%.
If they're all over the tape, they've noticed it. They're like, okay, when I see jazz hands, it's a screen.
Yeah.
And let's see where Payne even was on this. So I think he was against Tev there. And like Tev grabbed his hands, but like, I don't know if that's something Tev does a lot in a normal block. They're not the most proactive offensive line with their hands. For them to be grabbing the defender's hands, that might just be a tell.
It could be. Again, these guys watch nauseating amounts of film compared to what we do here on these breakdowns. And I'm sure they got a ton of film, and they say, hey, look, this is how you know they're giving away a screen. Just get in position and do it. They have the athletic defensive line to do it too.
So this one, I want to know what the future of the Bears offensive tackles might look like, because this was one where Amegadjie, I really liked his burst. Darnell Wright, as I mentioned, his burst really seemed to be back this game.
We want to know something. As soon as he gets a little more under control, I like Amegadjie's drop. And I know a lot of people are going to be like,
inside out.
Yeah, and they're going to be like, it's not orthodox and blah, blah, blah. No, but I like he's keeping his shoulders square.
Yeah.
I love that. Especially when you're a younger guy with some length like Amegadjie has, because he knows damn well. I bet you they do study too, and they know that these guys come crashing in, right? I mean, that's the way to beat the Bears defensively is crush rush. So if he knows he's coming inside, stay square and just try to eat him up. I don't hate it at all. I really like what the tackles do. And again, I know Kiran had a rough game, but for a guy who's never taken a meaningful NFL snap to just jump in like that, and again, at least give the effort, right? Like he could have just been out there and looked completely lost, and he did on a few plays. But as long as he's giving his best effort, he's actually trying and he's applying what they're teaching him and developing him with and things, it's hard to get mad at that. And I love square shoulders. Oh, that makes me so excited, Q. And I think if it's a better D end, I like the vertical drop a little more. I think he could have been a little more horizontal with his drop against these edge rushers in Washington. But when you have a really good speed guy, I don't hate that vertical drop like that, keeping your shoulders square and being able to seal off the inside.
This edge rusher's past him. His front foot is slightly past Karan's front foot there.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lost rep. In my mind, this is a lost rep at this point, and Karan shows the ability to recover.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's what got me so excited on this one. Like, and I saw Karan getting some heat for this rep somewhere, and just like, it's not ideal, but his footwork's all over the place. You know, it's not clean, but you know what? He showed that he can recover from this beat to this. Kept his quarterback clean, ran him up behind the pocket, and put him in the dirt. Like, that's a valuable recovery trait to me. Ideally, you don't have to recover. Hopefully that's something he gets better at. But the fact that he has that in his bag has me excited about Kiran Amegadjie.
I think that further highlights why the Bears were comfortable taking him in the third round of the NFL draft. Like, we talked about it with Braxton, right? As a fifth round pick, there was concerns, and that's why he fell, because he seemed like a prototypical tackle. With Kiran, it's just he played lesser competition, and he was the big bully that didn't need technique to beat people up. But you're seeing that raw athleticism that the Bears very clearly like that he brings. If you can actually develop him to be somewhat remotely technically sound, even average, I think he's going to be a better than average tackle in the league. And as he gets bigger too, right? He's only had one offseason of strength and stuff. He gets stronger too. That's just only going to further benefit him with that speed and athleticism on the outside.
Yeah. And I thought Wright's vertical set was just gorgeous.
Everything Darnell Wright does, I enjoy for the most part. So I agree. I mean, again, these big guys can afford to just open the gate like that. I don't love it, but
yeah,
I get it. And great rep. He completely covers him up. Dude doesn't stand a chance, and he just tries to beat him the outside. And Darnell goes, "Fine, I'll just push you by. Thank you for the free win on a rep."
All right, this next one, I believe, is Darnell Wright and Matt Pryor at right tackle and right guard. So right here.
The thickums.
Yeah, just big boys being big. That's what this rep's called. Just driving Daron Payne upfield.
Yeah, that's a hot double.
And then Pryor gets off onto the backer,
Gets a piece.
and
then DeAndre just
Swift
becomes a
just gives you
freak
nice
athlete.
little extra.
I mean, that. If there was a magazine published by some satirical company that was called like offensive line porn, and you would just put like a picture of like a really good double team, that's making the magazine on like page 1. That's perfect. Their hips are almost completely together. They make contact shoulder to shoulder with Payne. You see the movement off the point of attack. That's very clearly the point of attack on this play because it's the only lone double team like that. And then again, in this case, if you're Pryor, you don't need to have a perfect get off on that backer. If you get a piece of him, you're going to win. And that's what happens here. And, even Keenan Allen just getting in the way for DeAndre Swift to cut that upfield. And then DeAndre does the rest. And it turns out to be a really pretty play.
A lot to like right there.
Absolutely. Makes me smile, Q, to see that.
So on this one, we're watching Dougie Kramer in there. Hinsdale Central legend, Doug Kramer.
Dougie, can't you
go
see?
Glenbard West. But anyways, just over eager here, I thought, which I did. I liked a little of what I saw from Doug. And if you read my article, like I'm interested to see what Doug Kramer can offer at center. I'm not sure I love the idea of changing centers for the chemistry purposes, but if you're going to make a change, I'm interested to see what Doug Kramer can offer. But see, he's too focused on the outside to me, and Shelton's just getting killed, and he's not helping when he should be helping.
Yeah, it's hard too, right? Because you would hope. I mean, I don't love that rep by Shelton either, but I also think he thinks that Murray's going to come more. It also depends on what the slide side is, because if you go back a little further here in the play, I mean, you can very clearly tell you've got lock on the opposite side with Pryor and with Wright. Very clearly lock. If anything, I think Coleman Shelton needs to come more on this play. I think Doug Kramer here might be fine. Now, granted, you'd like him to come back and help his center, but he's also watching Kiran.
So do you think Shelton's depth is too deep then? Is that what you're saying?
No, Shelton doesn't cover him up enough.
Okay.
Like he comes, but then he doesn't come all the way. Like if his head's on the other side of Newton, that's a far better rep.
Yeah. Okay.
He doesn't come enough. Because if it's the slide side, he needs the slide to cover that guy. And then Kramer needs the slide with his eyes to the outside in case that end pops back in, or if garbage comes off the outside. So I think here.
Yeah, I guess protecting the inside move for Amegadjie there. Because Amegadjie's not playing his inside out here as he was on previous reps too.
Exactly. And there's a reason for that, because that's the way it's working. He's the slide guy, and he knows he has help inside. I also think the coaches are also saying, hey, help Kiran more than Shelton if you got to pick. And he's given an honest arm, but if Shelton's in good position, that arm from Kramer is fine. I think this is a bad Shelton rep more so than it is a bad Kramer rep, in my opinion. Again, I don't know what the call is. We're not in the huddle. We're not in the film room. But based on what I'm seeing and what I'm reading here, your lock side is on the right side of the formation here because Cole Kmet's releasing, so they're one-on-one blocks. And then you're sliding to cover the other two, and if anything comes off the other side, Shelton needs to come harder. Pause. Needs to slide harder and fully cover Newton, and then let Kramer slide and be that insurance guy. And then if both of them lock up, then he gets a free cheese shot at anybody at the end of the day. But you see that's the slide side based on how they shift and how Kramer and Amegadjie get out there. Because like you said, Amegadjie's allowing him to come back inside if he wants because he knows he has Kramer help there. And Kramer's getting ready to tee off that guy who's back inside.
That makes a lot more sense than what I thought Kramer was just looking to tee off.
I think here
how the rep ends of like Amegadjie's putting him down anyways, and Kramer's like rib shot.
I love it. I
thought he was just gunning for that.
I like a guard that likes to finish, and he finished his block there. You can't be mad about that. But yeah, I think if Shelton's getting blown back on that play no matter what. But I think if Shelton gets his head placement a little bit better to the slide side, to that left side of Newton, he gives a better fight, and Kramer doesn't look like he's just leaving him out on an island to go get a tee shot.
Okay. So this one, been saying for weeks now, I like Matt Pryor. I like the power he brings. I like the tenacity that he brings and the punch that he has. But it was only a matter of time before guys like Deron Payne and Johnny Newton made him pay for being slow and made him pay for having slow hands and a slow punch. And this is where we start to see it, where I guess this is even on the linebacker. I didn't remember who exactly he was getting here, but it's just lumbering. He's just lumbering with those hands, lumbering with his steps, and he just can't even get a hand on the backer here.
God, first off, I hate the blocking scheme. I really do. I mean, especially in an instance when you're concerned about your offensive linemen not being fast enough to get there, and guys are just olaying and whiffing. I mean, you see Wright kind of whiffs on his block here. I get they're just trying to go power football and go get a hat on a hat.
Shelton's trying to take him this way.
Yeah, and I think
trying to take him this way, and Pryor's trying
to get up there, and it's just not good play design. And again, this might just be, them needing to make adjustments and say, hey, in this case, Pryor, I need you to take 2 steps inside. If that guy crosses Shelton's face, you got to take him so Shelton can peel off in the backer. Because here's the thing: if Shelton hands him off at least a little bit to Pryor for how big Pryor is, and if Pryor can stalemate him, if Shelton gets even the slightest hat on 54, this is a good run for DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
Instead, it dies in the backfield because DeAndre Swift needs to cut back from his running lane because it's just a big pile of shit.
Yeah.
And again, I get it. In this situation, they're probably not expecting the D tackle to come across. But sometimes that's where, if you're an offensive lineman and you're going up to a backer, you need to just take an interior angle. And if he comes, you got to just talk that through and communicate. Because the way they do it, I get it's base blocking, which I hate base blocking. I think it's fucking terrible, but that's neither here nor there.
What's base blocking?
It's just hat on a hat.
Hat on hat. Okay.
Just hat on a hat. And
I mean,
I think that's what's happening here.
It looks to me, based on like Shelton's first steps here, he's actually not even trying to dictate him that way. He's trying to.
No, he's trying to
clear out
just
the hole.
Stalemate him the other way.
He's trying to clear out the hole, and he's trying to take him whatever direction he'll go, whether that be that way or that way.
And again, this doesn't favor when you've got a slow Matt Pryor trying to get out there and get to an athletic linebacker who's now scraping across the play and taking away your angle on the block. So again, some of it's just play design, and I get they're working with a shorthanded offensive line. Maybe this changes this week with a Borum or a Bates coming back. I'm going to say that with a huge hesitation, but maybe.
So on this next one, I thought this was maybe a broken play. Let's see what's happening here. This is the second QB draw in the red zone, second in a row. Where, they ran the QB draw and they ran it again. Where I was almost wondering, based on the blocking here, I was like, this makes no sense. Something was wrong. Like, they were not all on the same page based on what I was seeing here, and Caleb might have just had to run because it was all broken.
Yeah, I don't entirely understand what's happening on this play.
Yeah, no, it's so so I think
I wonder if there's a world where he realizes it at the last second that maybe Roshan's supposed to be on the other side. Because if you watch Kiran, they have it's a pin and pull with the tight end on that side. Or with the receiver, pardon me. I think that's Keenan Allen coming down. Oh no, it is Everett. It's a pin and pull. So to me, I'm almost wondering, because again, you talked about on our preview show, another shameless plug, go listen to it, please, about how much is in the quarterback's hands with this type of scheme that the Bears are running. I wonder if Caleb realizes at the last second that son of a bitch, Roshan's supposed to be on the left side of me, not on the right side. And it's supposed to be, because why would you have your action coming across the formation with Keenan and then have your running back running out to the same side?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
That's my bet with the line going left. I bet you Roshan's supposed to be on that left side, and Caleb realizes it late that he fucked up and he just has to eat it and take it. I'm willing to bet that's what happens here because it's a pin and pull. If you've got Roshan coming out and it's just a shovel pass, you're trying to get that edge. That's exactly what they're trying to establish on that left side as an edge.
Yeah, so you're saying it's almost like a read option at that point.
I don't even think it's a
Out
read
there,
option.
Roshan.
I think it's just a total toss. I think Roshan's on the wrong side of the quarterback. So I think he's there's probably two separate calls here. The one side for the running back of which way he's going, and then the way the line's going. And I bet you it was a miscommunication because why would you run your motion across the field and then have your running back follow it unless he's a lead blocker?
You're right. Especially with how many run screen options they run. Like Keenan's your screen here. And
Keenan's your screen.
You have a toss option to the other side over on this side.
You're tossing left, or he's got to make a quick decision and throw it back right to Keenan. That's what I bet you happened. I bet he just ate it because he realized he fucked up.
Yeah. Well,
which is smart. He didn't try to do anything stupid.
Scrimmage.
Yeah, he didn't do anything stupid. I hate him taking all that kind of contact. But
yeah.
I mean, it's a smart play if you're Caleb just saying, you know what, I screwed up. I'm just going to eat it and we live to see another day rather than trying to turn the football over and be a hero.
On this one, we just saw a good rep from Amegadjie and a good rep from Wright, where, again, I just want to highlight what I think, maybe we have a chance to see it offensive tackle next year, which would be very refreshing. But, again, a long way for Amegadjie to get there. We all know this. But if he could get close to it, again, I hate his feet. But you know what?
Hand placement.
He did it, man. He dominated the guy.
He did exactly what he wanted him to do. I think Amegadjie, part of his technique in his drop is he wants to bait guys one way or another. And he knows it by keeping his shoulder square, he can either slam down on you coming inside, or if you go around him to the outside, he's just going to use his brute strength and length just to grab your hip and push you by. That's exactly what he did.
Especially against smaller speed rushers like this, he's going to throw you out the club as long as he can. Mm-hmm. Again, it was a rough game for him. There were a few really impressive reps, though, and this was one of them where I'm sitting here going, ooh, that could be something.
I see what the Bears see in him now. This is the most I've seen of Amegadjie in any format, and it's nice seeing him against better talent because, no offense, Yale, but you guys don't play anybody.
Yeah.
You see the power, you see the athleticism, you see the finesse. It's just for him, it's putting it all together because he can't bully people like he did at Yale in the NFL. That's just what it is. It's technique, but he's a smart kid. You don't go to Yale, even on football scholarship, if you aren't smart. As long as he's coachable and the talent's there, there's a reason they wasted, quote unquote, a roster spot to develop him this season. Mm-hmm. They have high hopes for what he's going to become. And you see the flashes. It's him putting it all together. Even if he's an average technician at the next level, based on what you see on this type of play where he can just take a DN's hip and literally throw him, like you said, just throw him out the club. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Also, absolutely hate anything that Shelton's doing on this play because he's giving him a free rush. Johnny Newton ate him for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
He did. Johnny Newton did whatever he wanted, especially in the second half, which was truly, as a Johnny Newton fan, kind of nice to see him finally show a sign of life. But
agreed.
Also,
you and I talked that
it was against the Bears because he hadn't shown any signs of life before this game.
Yeah, and I think he knew. He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this dude's lunch money every single play," and that's exactly what he does.
Yeah,
because the rest of the protection is awesome, except for Coleman Shelton just get absolutely harassed by Johnny Newton.
It really is. I didn't even think about because I'll watch through this tape once for each player, and then I'll go through it one time watching the whole thing, looking for stuff to highlight in these videos. The last time around where I'm just looking for stuff to highlight in these videos, I didn't even notice that both the guards did their job really well. I was just like, oh, those tackles look nice.
Pryor beats Payne and is that Murray on this play? Yeah, it looks like Murray. And Murray does.
Oh, I got one of Bill Murray's two reps in here. Of course I did. Love Bill Murray.
I mean, that's good pro. outside of Coleman Shelton just losing a hand fight. That's really good pro. If Caleb gets that pro 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times per half, like he's going to make crazy shit happen when he's got that much time with him.
Yeah.
That's nice. Outside of Coleman Shelton being just a mess.
Destroyed. Moving on here. So this one, I couldn't not include this. Unfortunately, as much as I'm rooting for Doug Kramer, Deron Payne just truly might have broken his spine on this play.
Maybe that's why he fumbled.
No, this is after the fumble. I think
maybe that's why he got folded.
Fumble.
Maybe that's why he got folded then, because the
Maybe.
fumble destroyed his confidence. Oh yeah. Oh boy.
And then, but he's right back up and scrapping, which I love.
Which, hey, I mean, that's kind of what you got to do as an offensive lineman. But yeah. Deron Payne wanted a quesadilla, and Doug Kramer.
Yeah.
Doug Kramer becomes the tragic victim of Deron Payne's need for a foldable quesadilla.
Yeah, which I think they got in on this one though. Which, hey, Kramer got in the way enough that Payne
you know what
blow up the play.
I'll tell you right now, Q. I have had more than one play in my lifetime as an offensive lineman on the goal line where sometimes you just need to get the living shit beat out of you to help the play. It happens. Like if you make the guy's job hard to have to run you over, that's better than you just whiffing on a block.
Yeah,
I've absolutely done what Doug Kramer did on this play before. Probably more than once, to be brutally honest with you.
Let's see. I think I had another note on this one too. Let me see what they were.
Matt Pryor or Darnell Wright getting into the
dominates hip. And the tight ends hold up.
Yeah, Darnell getting into the hip. This is just a beautiful down block. This is textbook.
Yeah.
1, 2, look at his hip, drive his ass, get that forward motion,
and then he gets to 5-4. He gets to Bobby Wagner too, and just says, "You're going backwards, buddy."
Well, and on top of it, though, I also love the fact that the tight ends do just enough to create a pile of shit. Around the goal line, that's the one place if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'd say make a pile of shit. If guys are on the ground, the tailback can see where the end zone is. He can make the decision from there. Just make a pile of crap, and that's what happens here. It's just a pile of nonsense. Yeah. And it's even more awesome that Darnell Wright, again, because he's just an absolute freak of nature, gets off on the block and actually gets a piece of Wagner.
Love it. Now, I think we got a few more before we get to more of the Amegadjie stuff. So this one, Amegadjie loses. We've shown a lot of good Amegadjie.
Time for the bad.
Show the good. And Matt Pryor both lost these reps, or at least according to me, both lost these reps. We'll see if Ron concurs or if he sees something a little different. Not lost the reps. They just got lost.
Literally lost.
I'm sorry. Yeah. My note was that they were just lost.
Oh, I can tell you exactly what happens here.
What do you say?
Pryor, again, this is why I hate when offensive linemen turn their shoulders on pulls unless it's a trap. I think Pryor is assuming that Luvu is going to be there, but because Luvu clears out so fast, Pryor doesn't know what the hell to do with himself because that's 100% his man.
Okay.
Like if you're Pryor here, the rule of thumb, if your guy just vanishes and they say goodbye, go hit somebody. Don't just stand around. Go hit somebody. Go hit anybody. Because guess what?
Kiran looks like he thinks Luvu's his guy too, though.
I think Kiran. Actually, I don't know what the hell Karan's doing. I'm entirely brutally honest with you. Well, hold on. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, maybe. Now I'm starting to wonder if
the read, right? Like you're letting 9-9 through.
Yes, 9-9 is absolutely the read, man. Oh God, maybe this might just be one of those plays where I can't tell because too many people fuck up. I know Pryor's trying to give run action here because it's the tight end slip play behind with Cole Kmet. But this is where, if you're Pryor and you're Amegadjie, even if Luvu's your dude, just turn around and hit somebody.
You know what? Amegadjie's just got a combo on 9-8.
Yeah, they're probably working.
That's where the play's going. They want to crater this thing in.
I bet you what happens here is,
and Pryor's probably his job is probably just make sure Luvu runs out.
It's either Luvu runs out or Luvu runs into him. I think what needs to happen here, I agree with you. I think Kiran's supposed to come down. I will admit, I cannot tell you how many times I've screwed up in practice or in a game. Like the play side tackle, you think that play side blacker's your guy when he's not. It's the backside guy. And you're so focused on like, oh, the play's got to come here. Sometimes, again, especially as a young guy who hasn't had a lot of reps, that might just be what happens here. But yeah,
even I bet Kiran doesn't know the play.
Probably not. If we're being brutally honest,
flat out doesn't know the play.
He has no idea what he's supposed to do
outside, and he's just like, I'm trying to figure this out as I go. I have only practiced for a week. I don't think he knows what the hell he's supposed to do.
But I'll tell you what, this is an instance though. If I'm Kiran, or if I'm the O-line coach, I look at Kiran, I go, buddy. Even if you think he is your guy, if he's clearing out like that, go hit somebody.
Yeah.
Just go hit somebody. Be aggressive if you're going to be dumb, be aggressive. And not be dumb. That's harsh. But if you're going to screw up, go be aggressive if you're going to screw up. Like, go, as soon as you see that, go crash down on the D tackle and try to move the pile into the end zone. Because then now Cole Kmet walks in with no problem. Right? Because Luvu goes away.
Just look at the relief in this man's body language
when
he realizes it's in.
Awful.
Just, oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God. I screwed up so bad. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
I mean, hey, the guy had no practice. I'll give him a break.
Oh, hey, I agree with you, but that is...
to be clear, we're giving him a lot of breaks so far.
yeah, here and there. Hey, but for a guy, like you said, who hasn't practiced, he's getting the job done.
So now we're in the exclusive Amegadjie portion of this. We'll probably cut this and make it into a full like release it as just a YouTube video, as well as like Kiran Amegadjie breakdown first NFL action or something. But this one, we're looking at his inside out technique, which we've already touched on a little bit. He's very protective of that inside shoulder because even against a speed rusher, because he knows I got 36-inch arms and I'm strong.
Yeet.
Again, just throws him out the club.
Yep.
Simple as that.
That's awesome. I love that. And honestly, I know there's a lot of people that are going to be like, his drop is weird. I know guys that have dropped like that. Go watch Joe Thomas's drop. Joe Thomas's drop was actually really similar. And he's that dude's, I think, in the Hall of Fame, or he should be in the Hall of Fame, or he will be in the Hall of Fame at some point.
His first ballot.
Yeah. So Joe Thomas dropped pretty vertically, like shoulder square vertically. But when you're a freak athlete, you can do that. Especially when you have the big long arms, because you can just and you got the guy, right? You don't have to turn your body as much to cover a guy necessarily because you just are an athlete. I like guys that can drop vertically like that because it just helps with your vision and it helps you just see the field better. You see if a guy's coming inside, you can see game. That helps with communication. Hey, game. You can come over, take that guy, and your guard knows, oh shit, something's coming back. You know, I like guys that can keep their heads up like that because it provides good vision.
All right, so on this next one, run block, I believe he's pulling outside. Or no, this one he's going inside on a run block and just clearing out space. I liked his hand placement on the hips. I wish there was a little more behind it, but
I wish he was lower.
It's fine. Yeah, so you think his hand should be a little lower, like on that actual hip point there instead of the ribs. I can see that. But I thought he did a nice job getting up to the backer there and just, like, that's a nice big hole.
Yeah, just get in the way. I like that. I like that rep a lot from him. But again, I think here, this is just another example. If he really gets his hands on Newton's hip, DJ Moore doesn't even pretend to be close to being touched for 10 yards.
Yeah.
Just a little lower. It doesn't need to be a lot lower. But you're taught as an offensive lineman, if there's next time, I encourage all
there.
Yeah,
he's swinging out.
Exactly. And he's moving and he's being covered up immediately by left guard because I can't tell who it is on this play. But you're taught. I encourage.
Yeah, with Tev power like that.
Yeah, he's toast then. I encourage anybody watching this, go hang out with your buddies and say, hey, can I test something on you? Have them just stand up straight. Push them in the shoulder. Don't kill them. Don't hurt your friends. I'm not condoning violence. Don't hurt your friends. Just give them a nice little shove. just like a little huh, and watch him just kind of do one of these, right? Like kind of like a punching bag. Do that to his hip and watch him move 3 feet. If you move a guy's hip, everything is attached to the hip. You got to move the hip. That's why I wish if he comes off a little lower, it means his aiming point is a little lower. It means his hands are a little lower. He moves that swing. Again, this is still a good rep. I'm being super overcritical here, but that's what I would like to see moving forward, right? That's a part of that development process. But overall, not a bad rep. Very happy with the outcome. And obviously, it was a big run for DJ Moore. So
I do just want to point out why arm length matters. It's full 3 yards away. Doesn't matter. He's still touching him. He's still getting him out of the picture because, like, look at Wagner's trying to get around it, but he just can't. No. 36-inch long arms are no joke.
No, and that's the beauty. Like, yes, there are guys in the NFL that can get away with not having extreme length. Willie Colon was a great example of that for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a right tackle. He had very short arms, but he was just a technician in its finest, and that's why he was a starter for 10 years. Mm-hmm. When you got freaks like that, man, you can't teach that shit. That's just freakism as an offensive tackle, man.
All right, my note on this one is that he misses a block. Let's see what that actually means because I don't always remember.
Wee! Ole! I mean,
and guess who makes the tackle?
I think that's the reason that this is a bad rep because if Newton never comes back and makes this tackle, nobody cares. Like this is a fine block if that's the case because he's getting movement and the play's going away from him anyway. I think in this case,
gets his head on the right side and a little more force.
Yeah,
this is going for 10 plus more yards and has a chance to go to the house.
He's just got to cover him up a little more, and some of that's just aiming point. That's all technique stuff that can be taught.
Yeah, like I mean, Rome is still dealing with this guy and this guy. If Newton's out of the picture, but there's a chance. Like
there's 100%
a chance, and instead Newton's the first guy to the tackle, and he's down there.
Yeah, and if Newton's not there, Rome can always cut it back a little more toward the middle of the field too. So even if it doesn't go for 6, I don't know if that play goes for 6, even if Newton doesn't get there. But he's probably getting at least another 10 yards out of that play.
Yeah. Now this next one, he misses his assignment, I think. And I want to hear your thoughts on this because
super slow off the ball too.
Yeah, no, very slow off the ball on this rep. I liked his mirror on this, assuming that he if he's locked on this guy, I liked his mirror. But out of empty, I have to think, and I could be wrong on this, but I have to think this is supposed to be a free runner. The play's going this way. Caleb needs to get the ball out fast because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the way that I read it, at least. And again, you know this better than I do. That was just my take on it, based on where their eyes are at, where each guy's aiming points are.
Yes, you're correct. You're 100% correct. What needs to happen here is this is where I would want to see Kiran do his vertical drop more than just turn his shoulders and get so wide. Because if he does his vertical drop here, he sees Luvu coming and he can come down and crash on that. Because you're talking, if there's no back, if you have no running back in the backfield, if you have a blitzer, you need to squeeze down and get the blitzer because he's the most dangerous man because he's closer to the quarterback. And then let that end go and let Caleb deal with the end.
And kudos to Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn did a really nice job scheming stuff up to take advantage of Amegadjie's inexperience and to take advantage of getting Coleman Shelton one-on-one with Deron Payne and Johnny Newton. Like, it was not an easy game for the protections, but that still doesn't excuse it,
Agreed. Yeah, in this case, I want Amegadjie to crash down because then Caleb's at least got a half a second to deal with that D end, and then he
knows what he's dealing with. Like, that's my understanding has always been, if there's a free runner, you want it where the quarterback's looking. You don't want him surprised by it.
Not always so much where the quarterback's looking. It's just whatever's more interior. So the closer it is to the snap of the football, the more important it is.
Right.
Middle blitzes are always the biggest things you need to cover. B-gap blitzes, A-gap blitzes. So in this case, because Luvu's coming right through that B-gap, I want Kiran coming down, crashing, taking Luvu, and then letting the DN go one-on-one because the DN has 3 additional yards further away from Caleb to run than Luvu does coming from just off the hash mark.
I should say my statement is prefaced with, if your free runner's either here or here, you want it in the quarterback.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You want it where the QB's looking. Absolutely. You are 1,000% correct. And I think they called that. I think that's what this protection's designed to do. Because if you watch, right, Teven's looking.
Play. It's only a 3-step drop. Like,
right. And Teven's looking if Wagner's coming. Right. Yeah. So like they're going to pick that up as a part of the slide if that happens. But Amegadjie needs to just identify that, hey, this guy's coming. This is the one time I want to see Amegadjie use his traditional drop. He doesn't use it. I think a part of it's because he's laid off the football too, and that doesn't help either. But neither here nor there. Luvu comes free and gets the Caleb.
Yeah. And he got burned on this twice in this game, I believe.
Yeah, and I can't believe Caleb actually got out of that, by the way. I think that's the more impressive part of this is like you had a free blitzer up the B gap, and that wasn't a quarterback sack. Let's nuts.
How he does this.
That just speaks to Williams' escapability. Something I'm sure we would never see out of Tyson Bagent, Q.
Throwing heat.
But yeah, this is bonkers that he doesn't get him. That anybody doesn't get him.
If anyone watched a lot of Family Guy, Caleb is greased up deaf guy. He is. He's a greased up deaf guy. And there's no one catching him.
Just running around. Nobody's catching him.
He gets a hand on him. How does he get out of this?
Yeah, this is crazy that he gets away. And then like reverses field and still gets away. Crazy.
Look at the pile of 4 commanders on the ground that Caleb leaves in his wake. Like, or maybe that's only 3. Either way.
It's a commander sandwich.
Love it.
Craziness.
This one, we see Kiran get confused in one way or another. We will find out how that is after our commercial break. Just kidding. Oh, this one. So, Robert Schmitz talked about this on his stream last night that he thinks this is duo. And I'm not sure if I think this is, and he wasn't strong in that conviction. He said maybe it's duo and that's why he does this. I kind of think that maybe it might just be a misstep, but what are you seeing as far as run concept goes here?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Just because I don't think, like, even with duo,
because, like this on this side, this almost looks like they're both duo. Coming here, and they're both coming here,
coming there, and then it's 1-on-1 with the interior guy. But
because of 9-6's hard slant inside, it's like, okay, well, this is not going to work like duo anymore.
Well, and I think too, on top of it, and maybe this is just my personal opinion on duo. I think duo is a fine play. I hate duo with the back to the side of the quarterback.
Okay.
Because it's such a longer route then for Swift to have to cut up field rather than him being even in a pistol set where Caleb's able to just turn around and hand the ball off because then Swift is just reading his blocks. Whereas here, he needs to come across, and then if the hole evaporates on the outside or a guy's coming on the outside, he needs to stop, cut up field. Like, it's just not efficient. If this is duo, I don't love running duo out of gun.
Well,
side by side gun
like that. The rules on duo over here when your look is like this, like, does it just become big on big?
Probably. Again, it depends, and I hate to use that terminology, but it depends because it depends how it's coached, right? They go over this in the meetings. Hey, if you get this look, if it's 3 for 3 this side, just man up. Like we had a man up call when I was in college. Like if guys walked up or however it worked, you would just call out, hey, I don't remember what the call was at the time, but hey, man. And everybody was just 1-on-1. Where this is probably what should happen on that play. But again, because Kiran here's duo and he goes, oh, okay, double teams. Like we're going to just smash these guys and see what happens here. Again, I think in this instance, duo looks a hell of a lot better for Swift if he's coming across, if Kiran gets that block, because then he's able to get outside potentially toward the far side of the field here. Whereas because of him coming across, Amegadjie doesn't get there. This could just be a coaching element that maybe Amegadjie didn't have reps to do, right?
Yeah.
But again, I also just don't love duo out of side-by-side gun like that, but that's just me personally.
All right. So he dominates on this one. Let's see what that meant.
We love that.
Oh, I think I remember this. Yeah.
God, he's so long. It's not even fair.
Yeah. Like, again, it's a speed rusher. Washington has speed rushers without a ton of power.
Yeah.
But he's helpless against Amegadjie's power here, which I love to see. He's not doing it against, Rashawn Gary or something here. Rashawn Gary's got a lot more power than this, or Aiden Hutchinson, or like, some of the more Montez Sweat, just because we all know who Montez Sweat is. But like, still, it's an NFL defensive end who he just completely put the clamps on.
Yeah. No, it's a really good rep. And I mean, you get to almost 4 seconds of full protection with Amegadjie. I think even if Caleb needed more time and moves and slides to the left a little bit, I think Amegadjie's in enough of a position to rebound and make another block. That's just a really good rep. Again, for a guy who's had no practice, just using your raw athletic ability to essentially play left tackle in the NFL, which is not easy to do, as your first game against a very good defensive head coach in Dan Quinn. I like what this is. Like, this is sweet, because that punch is sealing for sure that they're keeping him to the outside. And then he's just got to anchor and move around.
I just love his ability to shuffle those feet underneath his frame there too, and square back up with him and just say, "Hey, wherever you're going, I'm going, buddy."
Kiran's got that raw just ability to play O-line. Some guys are just gifted like that. I'm jealous of those people. I hate that shit, but I'm just jealous. That's really all it is, Keith. But like, he's got it. If he learns any bit of technique, he's going to be, at worst, a starter in the NFL.
Yeah. And this one, we got the polar opposite. We got him on a whiff.
Olay. Oh, yeah. Well, it's also Luvu. I think that's Luvu in this case. And again, this is also Amegadjie not being fully technically sound yet, because you would hope, knowing Luvu's coming over, Luvu's a linebacker. He's coming with power. Like, he's not a finesse guy. He's not going to try and rush around you. He's a blitzer. Like, he's coming off this play trying to just beat you up and get there as quickly as possible. He needs to know that he's coming with that chop. And maybe he gets there. Maybe if he comes a half second quicker with that other hand, he's able to disrupt it a little more and run him by. But by the time, Luvu's already chopping his other arm down by the time that second hand even gets onto Luvu's back.
Yeah. I think he was clearly surprised by Luvu's acceleration. Like, you look at his feet, he was rushed. He's almost crossing his feet on both these steps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bad drop.
He's rushed by. He wasn't expecting him to get upfield that quickly.
I don't know why so many people just sleep on Frankie Luvu. That dude's a monster, and he's continuing to show why. Like, he's a dude. Like, Carolina lost a lot by losing Luvu from their linebacking core, because he's the man, and he's kind of become the man with the Commanders. Like, I know Bobby Wagner's the old vet, but like, Luvu's the dude that's like out there making plays. And
he's the Micah Parsons role in Dan Quinn's defense.
Yeah. Which is insane, because that's got to be fun for him.
So I almost wonder if Amegadjie thought he had help on the outside here too. He's got inside help, and he's not playing like he has inside help.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he thinks maybe Roschon is going to come to the outside.
Yeah, but Roschon is there to help on the inside. But like, Roschon looks surprised.
Yeah, well, we don't know if Roschon screwed up either, though. Roschon is a second year back.
Oh yeah, I wasn't trying to place blame on.
Oh no. I'm just saying, like, because we don't know like what Roschon is supposed to do. We leave it up to interpretation. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's just a horrible rep from Amegadjie. That might just be the case too. You know what I mean? Right, good recovery by Roschon to even get a hand on him, even though Luvu makes the play. But
yeah. Oh, this is Caleb gets out of it.
Caleb gets out of it only to get absolutely eaten up by Daron Payne because everybody stops blocking.
Like this is like the intro to 80s movie where it's like, what if I told you I ended up 20 yards further back than this?
What if I told you this play went further south than it already did?
Like, I don't know how we got out of that. Okay, so this one, I wasn't sure if I felt good or bad about this one, or if I should just feel like in between about it, which is kind of where I'm sitting at. Obviously, I'm saying I don't know if it's good or bad. Let's see why. So I liked that left hand, that initial left hand, and I felt like his feet slowed down after he landed it though, and it allowed the guy to kind of turnstile around him as opposed to him being able to actually get in front and set an anchor. And that, like, he holds up like 3 seconds and a little change, but in on the 3-yard line, 4-yard line, I'd like to see more time than that, just as far as like this is a gotta have it moment when you're backed up like this. So I felt very in between on this, where it's like technically he gave enough time, but I thought it could have been better.
I think this is the prototypical instance of Kiran Amegadjie needs to get stronger because I think he has the punch down. I think his lower body is not quite where it needs to be. And you see it. He has no anchor on this play because that's absolutely the right move. Like, I think you're right in your statement, Q. As he drops here and he feels this end try to kind of crush rush him, he needs to just sit and eat it. But because his feet are so bad, he can't properly set an anchor and he gets walked into Caleb. Because that's the issue here.
This next step, it looks to me like he's starting to set the anchor, but like he's
trying to.
He's not in position to do that. Like
he's
the guy's just going to turnstile him at that point.
He's way too overextended just because his feet are all over the place. And that's again, that's going to become the biggest thing with Amegadjie. If he gets any sense of footwork in the NFL, like if I'm Morgan and Eberflus and Waldron every week, I'm having Amegadjie do 50,000 drop sets with proper technique. Just every single time. Like, no bullshit. Like, you can come in from practice, little Kiran Amegadjie, once you've done 5,000 drops today. But coach, it's getting dark. No, I'm tired, Grandpa. That's too damn bad. Get out there and do more sets. Like, that's all I'd have him doing is footwork because he's got the raw power. He just have him do 100 freaking down block reps on air with proper technique, and like get him on the underneath like the sled or something where he's got to stay low. That's where I am, because really, like, everything here, in my opinion, with Amegadjie can be fixed with his footwork.
This was another one he almost sprung out wide. Like, this is one of the most, like, Braxton Jones hangs his hat on these blocks. This is one of the things that you really say Braxton Jones can do that a lot of people can't. And Amegadjie showed twice in this game he can execute these blocks just as well.
I think Amegadjie, once again, he gets his technique and aiming points a little better. I think he'll be almost better than Braxton is at these. Because it's impressive. He gets out there. I don't think this is a bad play by any means. I think because the guy tries to shimmy him, he tries to like break his feet down. Again, if his feet are a little better, I think that solves his aiming point issues. But still a good rep. I mean, it's impressive that he gets out there, 10 yards downfield and still gets a hat on a guy and at least makes contact that allows Swift to gain, another 3-4 yards on the play.
I love it when big guys make little guys run away.
Oh, yeah. There's no better block in football. There's no better block
run in the wrong direction.
And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy here? I'm going to get even crazier. You know what makes this play work even better? If Coleman Shelton can establish his freaking block.
Yeah, no, that's what stopped this play from hitting, I think.
If Shelton gets a clean hat on a play, it's Swift and Darnell Wright 1-on-1, 2-on-1 with the safety. If Shelton gets a decent block. And I think Shelton's fine all the way out there, but then when you feel that guy crossing your face, you just got to bury your body into him. Kind of like Amegadjie does. Just throw your body at him. At that point, you're in open field.
Get his hips around on him. And
And
like you said,
sometimes,
he's just got to bury it. Like he's just got to dive at it at that point. Like,
and sometimes, like I think Shelton tries too hard to hook guys.
mm-hmm.
When in these instances, when you know you have a shifty back like Swift who can absolutely cut it back, if you even struggle to start getting there, I'm just getting on his hip and I'm running him. And I'm running him to the sideline. Take him to the bus, coach, because it's time to go home. That's exactly what I'm doing if I'm Coleman Shelton there. Because then you at least give the opportunity for a cutback, which Swift almost breaks off.
This one, I said he was hesitant. I think he's not sure if he's in pass pro or run blocking here. Because, like, I mean, I don't know. This is a draw, so maybe. So it's probably not he didn't know, but, like, he just gives up a little too much ground, I think, and he gets pushed back.
Yeah,
I mean, play gives up that space.
A draw play is 1,000% meant to look like pass.
Yeah.
So I think his drop is fine. Can I appease you with something really quick, Q?
Yeah.
I think Amegadjie looks a hell of a lot better on this play if Coleman Shelton doesn't look like this shit again.
That's true, because then DeAndre Swift isn't cutting it.
There's your
outside.
lane. Like, if you can draw me a big just pylons in between the pylons here off of Pryor's butt and Shelton's butt, there's your run lane because Cole Kmet's getting up on the other backer. Yep, there it is, right there.
Yeah.
You and I could run the football through that gap if the block is there.
As long as they can hold up for a solid.
As long as they can hold up for 2.5 seconds, we're good. Gale Sayers needed 18 inches. I need at least 48, but like we can get there. And that block was there. Now Swift has to spring it outside. He doesn't get to the end zone. Instead, that play probably is a touchdown if Coleman Shelton can get his fucking block.
You're right.
I know we're looking at Kiran Amegadjie.
This is not a Kiran. Yeah.
This is not meant to be piss on Shelton today, but like every single fucking play is like Amegadjie's block is fine. If Shelton gets his block, this might be a touchdown. That's 2 in a row now. And Shelton's feet are god awful too. And then he gets olayed by Luvu.
Well, is that Deron Payne or is that 98 who also just like bench
98 absolutely beats the crap out of Teven too. Like,
with Teven, I liked Teven's game. Like I thought he played a really nice game, but like PFF, I do not know where they got their numbers for this week for Tev. Like I had him in like a 70 grade. PFF had him the highest graded guard in football, and I did not see that.
Hell no. Absolutely not. Unless it was just that bad of a guard week play.
Maybe, but he's still got a 90. Like it shouldn't be weighted by the week, right?
No, it shouldn't. But yeah, I thought Tev was fine, but I didn't think Tev was that good.
This one, I mean, Amegadjie's late, but he gets his left hand on the chest plate and rides him up. I'd like to see him ride him a little deeper up the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Like he gives more than I want, but he still gives Caleb a chance.
Agreed.
Oh, and this throw by Caleb. I mean, that's gorgeous.
Like, that's crazy. Throwing it around Tev like that. Yeah. Just kind of slinging it sidearm.
But I liked his ability to recover here, though. Again, we saw him take that vertical set that you were talking about, and it cost him a little here. Maybe, you could say his feet were slow to get there, but he recovered on it. He showed that physical ability. Like, he should be done right about here. He's toast.
Yeah, but he stops moving his feet. Because, okay, if you roll it back really quick, the telltale sign that an offensive lineman has bad feet and is dragging his feet, watch the line Amegadjie's right foot draws from the yard line backwards as he drops here. Ready? Big old line in the sand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's when you know he's dragging his feet. If he's not dragging his feet there and he's just trying to run him, I think he does get the proper depth on the run through. Yeah. But he kind of does what I called the Ron Luce freshman year special, which was lunge your body at him and not move your feet.
So you're saying if he drives his feet this way,
yes,
or even
instead
like
of dragging
this way,
instead of dragging that back foot, even if he just gets on that guy's backside and just physically turns him and runs him, he's at least going to give Caleb another 2 yards maybe to the outside. Maybe here Caleb doesn't have to step up so much to make the throw. Maybe Caleb can just stand put and still make the same throw. Maybe it's a better throw and Keenan walks into the end zone. instead of having to go down to the ground because of the adjustment here.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, look at that. That ball's behind Keenan. If Caleb doesn't have to move, that ball is on his numbers and it's in the end zone.
Yeah. This one, he got in trouble for being a little over aggressive, which we saw. He's slow off the ball here too, but like so is Tev though, or Kramer, I guess. Yeah, it's Kramer. Everyone else is gone, and
yeah, but like
still there, but
way late.
Yeah, you see, he's going too much in there, and he can't get off because of it. And part of that's because he's late, though. Part of that's because he's late.
1,000%. That's just as big of a piece of this. I think because he's so late, because he's late, the D tackle's a yard up the field. So his angle, instead of being forward, is now straight to the side. So now when he's coming down, as he turns his shoulders, he doesn't have an ability to come back and try and get a piece of that guy. If he's on time off the ball, he's making contact with the D tackle the same time Kramer is. Probably has his head up and sees that backer coming a little bit sooner, just a half a second. And he's enough of an athlete where I have a feeling he could get off and at least get a hand on him and make a decent enough block. I think a lot of this tonight that we've seen so far from Amegadjie is just he's constantly putting himself in a bad position because he has to recover from being late off the football.
Right.
That's really what it is. If he's on time, I think a lot of these blocks look a lot better for Amegadjie because he's in the right spot. He's just a freak of nature naturally. He just needs to get more properly sound.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's late there.
See, but even there, he still gets a hand on him.
Yeah.
And he's a half a second sooner on that block that we just watched on the Moore run than the last one we just watched.
Last guy off again.
Yeah, he's the last guy off.
That one, it didn't make a difference, but
no.
Yeah.
He's just late off the football.
Excited about with him though. Like,
oh, for sure. You see the raw talent there. It's just a shame that they had to rush him into game action. But I think at the same time, it's going to give him a good understanding of what he needs to work on. Because he's getting actual game reps and there's real game tape. It's not practice. Yes, a guy can get better from practice film, but I cannot tell you how much defenses cheat in practice, at least from my experience. The best time you're going to get a proper set and a proper jump and a proper alignment is going to be in a game setting. And this is one of, I think it sucks that the Bears lost. I think it sucks that Amegadjie largely looked kind of all over the place. But I think he's got now a body of work to say, okay, this is what I need to improve on and get better at. And maybe, just maybe, Braxton's walking next year and I'm the starting left tackle if I get this all together.
He's right on time on this one. And he steals number 6's lunch.
Exactly. When he's on time, he's enough of an athlete to get shit done. But when he's got to constantly recover from him being his own worst enemy, really, it's tough. It's tough on any offensive lineman, let alone a guy who's never seen game action in the NFL and is considered a project tackle.
So, like we said, a lot to be excited about with Amegadjie, but there's a lot of work to get there. Right. Like there's 1,000%. A lot of work with his footwork, with his get off, and just a little bit with play strength, like you said. But really, I mean, I think there's so much in place for him physically already. If he gets that get off right and gets the footwork, it's going to take a full off season of work. Like, I don't think he's close this year to being there, but you can really see what he's working with. And it's different than most offensive tackles you see in the league. He is very skilled.
You can see why
very talented. Skilled he needs to become skilled.
Correct. You can see what Ryan Poles and company saw in the film to use a 3rd round draft pick on a project tackle.
Yeah.
You see it.
That wraps it for us, unless there's anything else you want to touch on, Ron.
No, I'll tell you what. I think I appreciated the Amegadjie snaps more with us discussing them versus the first time I watched through them without you on the mic cue. So I think that was fun. I just really hope this is the last time I have to see any highlights from this football game. So it was fun, but I'm excited to see what they do against the Cardinals offensive or defensive line when we do this a week from now.
Wipe it from the memory. Get rid of this game. We're burning the tape. We're burning the tape. This is the last we're going to look at it.
Light it on fire. I don't want to see it anymore.
All right. Well, why don't we get out of here the only way we know how, Ron?
Oh, as always, bear down, baby.
Bear down.